There was a story about Hillary Clinton's corruption with the Clinton Foundation that didn't get much legs during the primary, but I think that there was a strong contingent of people on the left who noticed the story and were kind of flabbergasted by one of the main lines of argument against Trump about, hey, Russia, 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 because this is a very damning story. And we learned some of this earlier on, but now there's a new addition to the story. So this story is back in a big way. This is from The Hill a few days ago. FBI uncovered Russian bribery plot before Obama administration approved controversial nuclear deal with Moscow. What? So wait until you hear the specifics. Before the Obama administration approved a controversial deal in 2010, giving Moscow control of a large swath of American uranium, the FBI had gathered substantial evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials were engaging in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering designed to grow Vladimir Putin's atomic energy business inside the United States, according to government documents and interviews. Federal agents used a confidential U.S. witness working inside the Russian nuclear industry to gather extensive financial records, make secret recordings, and intercept emails as early as 2009 that showed Moscow had compromised an American uranium trucking firm with bribes and kickbacks in violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, FBI and the court documents show. They also obtained an eyewitness account backed by documents indicating Russian nuclear officials had routed millions of dollars to the U.S. designed to benefit former President Bill Clinton's charitable foundation during the time Secretary of State Hillary Clinton served on a government body that provided a favorable decision to Moscow, sources told The Hill. What? So the update to this story, the addition to this story, is that the Obama administration approved the deal when the FBI was looking into this and gathering evidence on it. So the FBI uncovered the Russian bribery plot, but the Obama administration approved the nuclear deal with Moscow anyway, even knowing that the facts that led to it and the arrangements that led to it were under investigation for bribery and extortion and racketeering and all these charges. Wow. Now, what are the details of this deal? Well, this deal gave Moscow control of more than 20% of U.S. uranium. What? I'm almost at a loss for words here. So, under a Democratic president, there was the approval of a deal with Moscow that gave Russia control of 20% of our uranium. And we got to that point because Russian officials, likely Russian oligarchs, bribed the shit out of U.S. officials to get that deal approved. Of course, the whole fucking line of argument against Trump, it all makes sense now. It is sheer projection. That's exactly what it is. So, think about it now. The Justice Department knew about all of this in 2010. That's the revelation here. The Justice Department was investigating, had all this evidence. They knew about it in 2010. But Obama still approved it. So how can that be that they have all this information of bribery that led to this, but the Obama administration approved it? And what they said is, it's not like they made an announcement and said, oh, it's all good, even though we have all this evidence, whatever, you go ahead and approve that deal. No, they stalled. And they said, even though we have all this evidence of bribery, we're going to keep investigating it. And they kept investigating it for years and years and years and years, and they did nothing. You ready for the unbelievable, earth-shattering fact in this? Why didn't they act when they knew this happened as early as 2010? Attorney General Eric Holder was among the Obama administration officials joining Hillary Clinton on the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States at the time the Uranium One deal was approved. There you go. That's why. Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton are on the Committee on Foreign Investment, which approved this deal, as Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation are getting tremendous amounts of money from Russia, giving speeches and otherwise. So the Clinton family, the Clinton Foundation, getting tremendous amounts of money from Russia, as Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder, the Attorney General, are sitting on a board that approves this deal, giving Russia 20% of control of 20% of the U.S.'s uranium, even though they knew that there was incredible bribery and corruption behind the scenes that led to the approval of this deal. Eric Holder knew, hey, a zillion crimes were committed leading up to this, but I'm going to sit on the board with Hillary Clinton and approve this deal, as fucking Bill Clinton is being bribed at the moment. Oh, come on. And so now the Democrats are charging Trump with what there is a mountain of evidence that they are guilty of. Now, understand, man, it's so hard to discuss these things without having partisan idiots hop on teams. Is this me arguing that Donald Trump is not corrupt? Are you fucking kidding me? Donald Trump is as corrupt as they come, and he's a better liar than anybody. Because he pretended, oh, I'm self-financing my campaign. No, you're not. No, you're not. We have the numbers. We see what's happened. Did you know that there was a specific donor, I forget his name right now, I think he was the head of Johnson & Johnson, who Trump used to rip Jeb Bush during the primary about how he's a puppet to that specific donor because that donor had given him a lot of money. I don't take big money. I don't have big money donors. No, I'm self-financing my campaign. Is Jeb a puppet? Jeb puppet to this donor? Well, as soon as, Jeb dropped out of the race and Donald Trump got through, that billionaire donor started giving money to him, and Trump picked him to be the head of his fundraising. So this idea of Trump is like above the fray and self-financing, complete and utter nonsense. He's just as corrupt as the rest of them. There's been 1,000 different stories that prove that. Dude, he does business with all these different foreign governments. He opened like a dozen new businesses, registered a dozen new businesses in Saudi Arabia during the campaign. And then lo and behold, he approves one of the biggest weapons deals ever with Saudi Arabia now that he's president. You'd think there's some fuckery going on there? I do. Is it possible that there's financial corruption with oligarchs in Russia with Trump as well? Of course. He probably has fucking financial corruption around the globe because he does business in 12 different countries. Is there a question as to whether or not, this is another big story, that Trump could be laundering money for probably foreigners, whether it be Russia or anywhere else where he's doing business? Yes, there's evidence to that effect. So I'm not saying Trump's not corrupt, but what I am saying is this argument coming from the Democrats is particularly ridiculous because it's the clearest case of projection ever. You want to talk about financial corruption literally with the Russian government? Well, this is it right here. That's what this is. This is corruption not just with random Russian oligarchs, but with probably Russian oligarchs and the actual government, because in the end of it, there was a deal to give Russia control of 20% of U.S. uranium. Jesus Christ, man. Holy shit. By the way, the facts of this story, some of the facts we knew during the primary. And again, it didn't get much legs in the mainstream media. Now, Trump's getting a lot of shit for pointing that out and saying it's one of the most unbelievable stories that has not been covered by the media. And, people are shitting on him and making like pithy remarks on Twitter. Chris Hayes was like, there's the good stuff or something like that. But meanwhile, they're not actually arguing against what he's saying. They're just being like witty assholes. Now, I get it. Trump 98% of the time is saying absolute garbage and nonsense and bullshit and lying and on Twitter and all that. This happens to be an instance where he's correct, and nobody's providing a counter-argument because he's correct. The amount of coverage that's been given to Trump Russia, Trump Russia, Trump Russia, where there's much less evidence, compared to the amount of evidence there is for this kind of corruption involving Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder, and Obama, there's no comparison. It's focusing on Trump all day, barely a blip in the radar during the primary. Again, some people on the populist left knew about it from WikiLeaks and other things, so we got some of the information. Now we know it was even deeper than we thought because the Attorney General, the Justice Department, knew about it and they had all the evidence. So Trump's actually right about that. This actually is a Russia scandal and fucking mum's the word. So... I don't know why anybody would even watch, fiction. Watch fiction movies, read fiction books. Reality is crazy enough. Reality comes across like fiction. It's so wild.